Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody. How's everybody doing? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What a mess. What a mess. Is my coffee brewing or not? Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I guess I'm not having coffee. That's really annoying. I was really looking forward to my coffee too, man. Oh God, that's so annoying. Oh well. Anyways, guys. Um, So this is this situation has gotten really out of hand, man. It's I feel really bad. The more and more this goes on, I actually um feel really bad for this family more and more. Um and what's really funny is, and you guys don't come at me with pitchforks, okay? Like, my opinion of MGL has not changed in the slightest bit. Uh, but I will acknowledge, if we're keeping score on who's acting shittier, uh if we're keeping score on who's acting shittier in this situation, uh I'm gonna go with Katie Joy, okay? I mean, this woman is completely out of control. And why is she bringing up Annie? Like, why? Because what? Because she made a very thorough video and it was neutral, and she made a comment in the video regarding drama that is absolutely existing. Because now, she didn't name any names, she didn't call anybody out, not that I saw. Um, and I mean, look, I'm very proud to call Annie a friend of mine. In private, we've discussed this case here and there. But you know, I can honestly tell you that her concern has never been anything other than uh this uh Marvon's family. That's it, and how this is affecting them. I can honestly tell you that. Um, this has been and you know what? You know, Annie would get mad at me. She actually does get mad at me when I do this shit, but what am I going to do? Cuz it's not in her nature to engage in stuff like this. It's really not. Um and that what annoys me about that, it's not her desire or lack of desire to engage with these people that annoys me. It's the fact that these people take advantage of the fact that she has class and will not engage in this bullshit and will keep it about the family. And she hasn't attacked anyone. And yet, because she's setting that example, she's getting attacked. And I know it doesn't really bother her. Like, I know it doesn't, but it bothers me. I don't like to see decent people who are just trying to do the right thing get attacked for nothing. Um, yeah, I mean, right, heels in the air. I know. I know. I know. Like, I see right through everyone's bullshit here. Um, and the sad thing is I don't think that I don't think that this family is aware or can even think on the level of, because at first I wondered, I was like, you know, what if, what if this family is just, they're drama mongers, you know what I mean? And there's just this personal war going on between Marvon's mom and dad versus Andrea, right? Maybe there's that going on, and they're dragging YouTube into it, you know what I mean? And just making a big production of it. And everybody in this poor guy who's in a coma's life is just being uh is just being shitty. I'm not getting that impression, and I'm going to explain that because I'm going to play some footage uh that I listened to a little snippet of it, and it did disturb me a little bit. Um, but let's get into let's before I get into this, I have to show you guys something real quick. Now that I have some people in here, because I almost forgot to do this, but I'm doing it. And it's not what you expect, and it may even bore some of you, honestly. But I would be remiss if I did not do this. Uh, okay, hold on. So we've got this whole bunch of people on YouTube, right? These women who claim to be advocates for the abused and the exploited and blah 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 blah, right? Um and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys something real quick. See, to me, this is what class looks like, and this is what advocacy looks like. This is what a display of class is to me. Okay, this is an email that I got because I have donated more than once to the Center of Missing and Exploited Children. As a matter of fact, for those of you, I've donated because some of you bought MGL mugshot merch that I promised you the proceeds would go to missing and exploited children, and that's where it went. And so since I've done that, they send me emails and give me updates on wonderful things that people are doing. And let me read this real quick. This Saturday, July 30th, a group of incredible women are finishing their 2-month-long journey biking from Seattle, Washington to San Diego, California. Over 1,700 miles of terrain covered, rain or shine, all to educate others on the horrors of sex trafficking in America. What originally began in 2017 as 3 self-proclaimed hilariously unathletic friends with a desire to raise awareness about domestic sex trafficking within their communities has now become an annual team event and major fundraiser for leading organizations in the anti-trafficking movement, such as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank Pedal the Pacific for their commitment to sparking change and reminding us all that no voice is too small to make a difference. We invite you to check out their website to read their full history and meet this year's team or to make a donation as they prepare to cross the finish line for 2022. All Pedal the Pacific donations come directly to NCMEC to help support prevention work and survivor services. Way to go, ladies. Finish strong. This is them, okay, cycling for a world where people are not for sale, okay? Um, our mission, we ride because every single day, all across America, men, women, and children are being trafficked for sex. Pedal the Pacific exists to educate all people about sex trafficking. We use bikes as a platform to raise awareness, educate peers, fundraise for leading nonprofits, and develop leaders who believe that no voice is too small to make a difference. Let's see this real quick. Let's meet the Seattle to San Diego team. You've got Addison Simmons. She says, I ride because I can. I'm not a lawyer and by no means an expert in the subject, but I am capable of educating myself, riding a bike, and starting conversations. Ashley Mullen, I hope to find my own voice so I can help start conversations that not only draw attention to the grim reality of human trafficking, but also include solutions. I ride with a purpose, Bella Harris says, of cultivating awareness within my community so that we may come together to value, cherish, and protect those who have been trafficked. Bunsri Trivedi says, I ride to show survivors that they are worthy and to show that even the littlest amount of change adds up. Carson Daniel, I ride because I'm passionate about freedom and liberation. Pedal the Pacific offers a great outlet for real, tangible advocacy. Claire Christian, I ride because I spent 16 years of my life unaware of the horrible realities of sex trafficking. Emma Murphy, the first few steps to create change are education and awareness, and I hope to bring both to my communities with Pedal the Pacific. Liz White, I ride to uphold the dignity of survivors and work for the restoration of their lives. It is the greatest of privileges to use my body as a tool to bring healing to others. Rachel Johnson, with humility and anticipation, I am ready to put learning into action, pedal by pedal and conversation by conversation. Sophia Harnew Spradley, I ride to protect vulnerable populations and to raise awareness of what sex trafficking looks like, because every person deserves to feel valued, respected, and freedom of choice. Sydney Mwakatuya, every human is worthy of life and freedom. I ride to fight for survivors of trafficking and those who are not free yet. To me, that's incredibly inspiring. And this coffee maker is bugging the hell out of me. But, oh well. I wish I knew how to get it to work. Anyway. To me, that's exactly what advocacy looks like. It's not starting cash apps and throwing mud at other creators who claim to be trying to do the exact same thing that they're saying they're trying to do, and being in some sort of weird competition as to who cares more about a situation than the other. To me, that's the kind of example that we should be following. Now, I'm not saying to get on a bike and ride 1,700 miles, but that sure is a hell of a lot more effective than what I've been seeing on YouTube, isn't it? I mean, isn't that fair to say? So to me, it's just very, very ugly that this poor family's private business is out there, when in desperation they reached out to a YouTuber and then it turned into this. let me do something here real quick. So apparently, Katie Joy has just been harassing this lady, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to play this from the beginning here, at least the beginning of the recording.
Um, she's here. All right. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for letting me play this. I'm not going to show my face. It's not about me.
God,
You
please,
guys,
just
I
come
know
on.
that you're all here because you care for Miss Letitia. And the way we feel about Vaughn, imagine a mother's pain is 10 times or 100 times worse. So I'm going to play it. I'm on the porch this morning crying because I woke up to that post of Without a Crystal Ball saying that I am not my Barnes next of kin. So, it's been a long fight for me and I'm so tired, and it hurt for her to say that over and over and over again. There's more. I think that I wanted to turn back the hands of time and not allow my son to be adopted. But I thought that was in his best interest. At the time, not adoption, but just staying with my grandmother. But I'm not the one that put him on life support. I'm so sorry. Oh, God help me. But it really hurt to hear someone say over and over again. I'll play it again if you didn't hear the whole thing. For people that are just coming in, Miss Letitia's here. I asked her for permission.
Now I'm getting the impression that based on that, this woman had no idea what she was getting into. She had no idea that she was walking into this circus, and that her personal life and her personal turmoil that she's dealing with this tragedy of her son is sitting there laying in a coma because he tried to take his own life. And she reached out to people and wait a second. Unhide not another T channel, please. Unless there's something that she said that I don't. Hold on a second. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm sure that was a mistake. um, I mean, right, platform boots. I agree with you. I wish families would vet these YouTubers better. I don't think that she had any idea what she was getting into. And then now she's caught in the middle of this ridiculous shit between these YouTubers. Um and her life is a mess. And then and then there's these like little passive aggressive things that take place, right? Um let me see if I can.
I appreciate if she thanked the two different YouTubers who's
Now this is MGL after she played. Now this video is on members only, of course. But this is MGL right after she played Annie from 10 to Life's video on this subject, right? And I will, like I said, I'll acknowledge the fact that MGL has at least composed herself with some class, at least in comparison to Without a Crystal Ball. Now I know what her motives are. We've been talking about MGL for who knows how long. We've seen all of her antics. This is no different. She's gained like 30,000 subs since she started this ridiculous farce of covering somebody's personal shit. And I know that that's exactly what her motive is in this. Like, never have we ever known MGL to do something simply out of the kindness of her heart. There is always an angle. So let's go ahead and listen to this little clip. This is her reaction to Annie, to Annie's video, which she reviewed on this video that we're watching now.
Would I appreciate if she thanked the two different YouTubers whose footage she used for her video? Yeah, that would have been nice to put in the description. That's what I do.
So that's not passive aggressive at all. This is after she's like, oh, it was a good video, but
yeah, this is not something she's gonna be. She'll probably do an update video later. She keeps talking about drama. Me and Justin and Elle are not even dealing.
Okay, she didn't keep talking about drama. She mentioned, and she did it as a disclaimer. She was like, basically in the video, she's like, there's drama all around this, and there is, because when you, MGL, are slinging mud back and forth with Katie Joy, that's fucking drama. So don't sit here and act like you're above all this shit, because you're not. So yes, there is drama that you have engaged in, drama that you capitalize off of in every single thing that you ever talk about and engage yourself in to this depth. Every time. There's always somebody that you beef with. And that is what you capitalize on, because the super chats come rolling in when you start getting all uppity and how dare this person, blah, blah, blah. You did it with Summer Wells talking about Summer's our little girl. Summer's ours. No, asshole. Like, this is classic you. And this is no different than any other thing that you've been doing.
With drama. That's some other crap over there. Nobody cares. It's about a guy who's still on life support. Aren't hospital staffs mandated reporters? Yes. And so are teachers, principals, social workers. Yes. Someone once asked me, are life coaches mandated reporters? I am not officially, no, but I have had to have been at one time.
She still has the audacity to refer to herself as a life coach. When is she life coaching, by the way? Like, I mean, does she not sleep ever? Because like she's on YouTube about 18 hours a day. So when is she life coaching exactly?
I'm with a client of mine, and it saved her life actually. So, but I don't consider that. But yeah, people in the hospital. I'm wondering how she. Look at this. We're on my fun channel. But I'm glad that she, Tens of Life, did this video. She did do a wonderful job. Just remember, guys, in the future, don't call it a pyramid scheme, okay? For one.
I love this. I love this. Miss Miss 80,000 subs giving lessons on how to YouTube to somebody who has been on YouTube a fraction of the time that she's been on YouTube, and she's already at 300,000 subs. Yeah, let's hear that advice, MGL. Thank you so much for that.
Thing I learned from Sandra Rusek, they don't like that.
Oh, you learned this from Sandra Ruchek, who you have exploited to the point to where she is traumatized. Hey, my coffee maker started working. That's fucking amazing. Was Sandra Ruchek the magic word for my coffee maker? And I don't care. I'll take it. Yeah, this is, if you guys know her involvement, that's when I started on YouTube. And her involvement with the Rucheks was purely exploitive. It was purely exploitive. Apparently, the idea, the plan was that she was going to be the spokesperson for the Rucheks. Sound familiar? Sound anything like what's going on right here, right? And it got to a point to where the Rucheks might have actually ended up doing a Netflix documentary that was already made that they hardly had anything to do with, if anything at all. And she was going to be the voice and the face of the entire Netflix thing. That was the plan. But that didn't work out because she managed to piss them off, like she always manages to piss off everybody, that she ends up turning on them in some way, shape, or form. It's a matter of time, Letitia. Miss Letitia, it is just a matter of time. If you hear this, mark my words. It is a matter of time before this person fucks you over. Now, so far, she's at least behaved with more class than KJ. At least. I will acknowledge that.
It's okay, Molly. They know where our interview came from. I know, but the thing is, it would have been nice to have said, well, footage came from that first girl who I don't know who that was.
So this is what she's mad about. She's mad because Annie, with her 300,000 subs, makes a video, uses some of the content, which is fair use, and she doesn't credit her for it. That's what she's pissed off about. Why? Why do you think that is? I can't speak for Annie. I wouldn't presume to speak for Annie, but why do you think that is, Molly? Why do you think that is? You think that somebody who runs their channel with poise, with scruples, is going to somehow or another, in some way, shape, or form? All it was you had Letitia on your channel and she used footage of Letitia. It just so happened it was on your channel. She doesn't give a shit that it was you. Nobody gives a shit that it was you other than your subs. Nobody does. This is not, I'm sorry, like I said, I'm not speaking for Annie. I'm saying it doesn't fucking matter where it came from. This woman was speaking and it just so happened to be on your panel. And that's what she was focusing on. Nothing. It's not about you, but here you are all upset because it wasn't made about you, which shows your true colors as to what your motives are in this entire situation. And you were so fucking blind that you don't even know how to pretend like that's not the case.
And then the other channels. You get what I'm saying? And you want to know something? For self-protection, footage credit belongs to Andrea McCrae. You always want to cover your bases like that.
Wow.
But I honestly, I'm dying for Dre to sue me. I would do anything for her to sue me.
So yeah, cover your bases because, you know, that's how you YouTube. That's, you know, YouTubing lessons from 80,000 versus onto, you know, YouTubing lessons from 80,000 subs to somebody with 300,000 subs, who's been on YouTube about half the time that you have been. Yeah, good to know. So let's move on. Let's move on here. Let's move on to old Katie. Katie likes to keep stuff on her Facebook. Like, she keeps her YouTube channel professional, you know, talking about the reality shows and whatnot. But when she wants to get down and dirty, then she goes to her Facebook.
And I'm starting it now. I'm asking you, the audience. You have a minute to answer.
Thank you, Marley. I appreciate that. I love a good calling out on the community life roach. Always. Always. She never fails to give me material.
Votes now. I've got 54 votes. I got 66 votes. 78 votes.
It'd be better if you said it like an auctioneer.
Oh, okay. So she goes on Facebook when she wants to get drunk and rant.
I got 45 votes.
Have some balls. Do it on YouTube like I do. It's fun.
Votes. I got 105 votes. 112. You got 20 seconds, y'all. 14, 13, 12, 10, 9, 8. Come on. Only got 128 of you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are we done? %of you, there's only 134 votes, but 50% of you think that you believe Dre, and 49% of you believe Letitia.
Hi, Panda. Oops.
Down the middle, y'all. It's a divided story. I wanted to have an option for you don't believe either of them, but it wouldn't allow me to have 3 options.
So how the hell did it end up being 50 and 49?
Kelsey 206, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I don't know.
Congrats on figuring out the coffee maker. I'm so happy. I was really looking forward to this coffee too, so now I have it. Just opened up my creamer. Got a brand new bottle of creamer. It's fantastic, bro.
I wanted to have a 3rd option, but it did not allow me to have a 3rd option. It looks like I had another poll on here. How do you feed your baby?
Wow.
Let's see. Breast or combo? I don't know why I would ask that question. That's weird.
Yeah, that is a weird question. Why is that anybody's fucking business?
Feeding? How do you eat? How does your baby eat? Okay. So you guys on my live are divided on who you believe. Some of you don't believe any.
What's up, Chronicles of the
Some
Shady?
of you believe Letitia. Some of you believe Dre. It's your right to figure out who you like to want to believe. I'm not going to tell you that you're an a-hole if you don't agree with me. I'm not going to tell you that you're...
Yeah, I'm going to tell you you're an a-hole, though. Because you are.
Shut up. Anytime someone tells someone that they don't, you need to leave the situation, you need to shut up, you need to not talk, is an indication that what you're doing is actually getting to the truth.
What?
If any side wants to
okay, because she's been loving lately, by the way, y'all. She's been loving talking about bringing up the Sophie Long situation. Okay, she's been loving doing that. She's been loving lately ever since Annie posted that video, throwing mud at her for that. Right now, if you guys remember, those of you who followed me covering this, right? She was in support of Kelly Long, right? very much in support of Kelly Long, who Sophie had accused of having her trafficked by Kelly Long's boyfriend, Jake Bellington, and God knows how many other people, right? This is something that Sophie had accused her of. Now, the question remains whether or not she was coached or blah, 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 blah. I personally don't believe that she was. I don't have any proof that she was or she wasn't. All I know is this little girl was terrified of being in the environment that her own mother provided for her. And when I say terrified, that is not an exaggeration. It might even be an understatement. This little girl was absolutely terrified of the environment that her own mother provided for her. Okay? Now, I'm of the opinion that a little girl who's been coached, right? Who would spend just as much time with her mom at one point that she would with her father. A little girl who is coached is not going to act that terrified. She's going to maybe, I don't know, seem a little confused. This girl did not seem confused in the slightest bit. This 9-year-old girl at the time did not seem confused about where she did not want to be. She was adamant, and so adamant that she kicked and screamed, and screams that were blood curdling, that caught the attention of thousands and thousands of people. That's what caught thousands and thousands of people's attention, not claims from the dad, not claims from the mom or anti-claims from the mom. None of that caught thousands and thousands of people's attention. The videos showing this little girl absolutely, undeniably terrified of the environment that her mother provided for her, screaming where it's actually difficult to listen to. I won't play them ever again because I can't listen to them. I won't play them off alive where I'm just doing some sort of research. I saw everything I needed to see as many times as I care to see it. And I wouldn't do it again because I can't handle it. I can't handle it. So that's why I wouldn't play them anymore. And there's something to that. Like I can hear someone screaming really loud and question their motives. Like I've heard MGL scream really loud and go, that's bullshit. That's total bullshit. She's totally doing this for views. Right? I mean, even though it's hard to listen to in the sense that it's like, Jesus, just spare us all, please stop. Not the same thing. Not the same thing as a little girl that was terrified, a child. Okay.
Other side, that means that they don't want anyone to know.
Let me do this.
To leave the situation, you need to want to believe. I'm not going to tell you that you're an a-hole if you don't agree with me. I'm not going to tell you that
now I'm starting this point from the beginning because I want to make something very clear.
Anytime someone tells someone
listen up
that you need to leave the situation, you need to shut up, you need to not talk, is an indication that what you're doing is actually getting to the truth.
You mean like when Kelly Long used you to tell everybody to shut up, right? You mean like when Kelly Long's attorneys, which you would put up their website where they could donate to Kelly Long's attorneys, who were sending bullshit cease and desist orders to every YouTuber that wasn't praising her. I got one. Annie got one. Nick Rekieta got one. I mean, so which one is it, Katie? I mean, so right here, we're hearing you say that is absolutely an indication of somebody who doesn't want you to know the truth. That's coming out of your mouth right now. And all that time, you were assisting someone in telling everybody to shut up. Let's listen to her dig that same hole a little bit more.
If any side wants to silence the other side, that means that they don't want anyone to know the information coming from one side. Anyone that wants to control access to information is never going to be giving you the full story. So you don't want, like, I don't want you to have to say, like, you have to be all this or all that. You should be able to come to your own conclusion and decide.
Interesting.
Yourself. The only thing that I know for sure is that Josh Duggar is a sick fucking pedophile.
I agree with you there. I agree with you there. I think we all agree with you there.
That factually. I will never waver in my belief of that. I will never change my opinion on that. I will never.
It's because the evidence dictates it.
Think differently. Like, that is one thing. That is one opinion I hold about some person I cover, that no one can make me think different.
I was so scared that coffee machine was broken, dude. I was so scared.
All I know is that families are messy and relationships are messy, and
really,
being that Dre is still being able to be around Vaughn, the attacks against her just made us where we can't see how Vaughn is doing now. Everyone keeps asking how he's doing, and we don't know now. Yeah, I mean, people didn't want Dre on the internet, and so now she's not telling you how Vaughn is, and so now no one knows how Vaughn is. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a catch-22. You guys didn't want her to share any information, but now you want the information that she was sharing. You didn't
shut up,
the
Cherry.
Information that she was sharing. But she was giving you that information, and now you don't have the information, and now you want the information, but she's not going to come back and give you that information because of this.
Dude, this girl is so fucking boring, bro. I don't understand how she has the following she has.
You don't have to pay money to post comments.
I know I always say this. I just can't.
Free.
I'm telling you. Watching her is like watching wallpaper, watching paint dry. Like, I mean, look at her fucking face, bro. You can't even get a read on her.
He should never get out. I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly, Terry. He should never get out.
I agree with that too. He should never get out. Josh Duggar. I know it's Duggar, but I like to say Duggar. Josh Duggar should never get out.
Last one is his
but he will.
Medical status. So the only thing I can go off of for Vaughn's medical status is what Dre has said publicly, and she has said that 7 doctors sat her down. They had done an EEG. They have done multiple MRIs, brain scans.
Yeah, standard for somebody who's in a coma.
Things to check brain function, okay? And they hook them up to machines, and they check for brain waves, and they check the MRIs will show if there's gray matter in the brain. So if your brain is showing gray, that generally means that your brain has died, okay? And it's not healthy tissue. It'll show up a very specific way on a scan.
Now she's a fucking doctor.
She said that all of the scans showed that he had no brain activity and that he had severe brain damage to his brain. The doctors told her that there's no possibility of recovery.
Now, how does this explain you attacking his mother on a constant basis?
7 doctors sat her down. They had done multiple scans, EEGs.
Which would make sense if he didn't have oxygen to his brain.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with brain scans. We've seen lots just because of our son. And it's easy to see brain damage on a scan. it shows up very obvious.
Does it?
So they will obviously see.
I'm seeing brain damage right now.
It appears completely different than healthy tissue. So the way that they explained it to her is that he has no sense of consciousness. He's lost his entire sense of self. His body is alive, but Vaughn's brain and conscious self is gone. His brain stem is likely functioning because he has some breathing where he's able to do on his own. But if you look at the status of what no brain activity means long term, it means that long term, like there's different.
Dude, she's about to put me in a fucking coma.
Forms of brain death, but his was from lack of oxygen.
Yeah,
like
he hung himself. Of course.
30 minutes without any oxygen. Your brain starts shutting down and you start dying after 3 minutes of no oxygen. Once you hit, I think, 10 minutes of no oxygen, it's like irreversible brain damage. When you go above that, the possibility of ever recovering is like it's so devastating.
I hate when people act like they're experts on shit when they don't know anything.
And lo and behold, Letitia says slightly opened his eyes and now it's believable. It's sad all the way around. He can have involuntary movements with no brain activity. The body, the spinal cord is still working and the brain stem is still functioning. So the way that your body's moving and the blinking and all of that is usually involuntary. He hasn't opened
I don't
his
think
eyes,
I can with Facebook.
And then if you look at the statistics of
anoxic injury, I can actually.
An anoxic injury of this magnitude in coma for over 2 months now. They told her there was no recovery. She doesn't believe that. That's what she said. I don't believe that there's no recovery. That's what the doctors told her. No possibility of recovery.
I haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet, folks.
Well, once you lose a sense of your consciousness and your brain is gone, you don't have feelings and you don't know anything. You're gone. It's sad. That's what, and I'm not trying to imply this. This is what Dre has said in her own videos of what doctors have told her. So I'm just telling you what she said, and I don't want anyone to have false hope. And she might very well be having a false sense of hope.
But that's not for you to fucking say, man. Like, you see how shitty she is?
But his hearing people talking isn't like when people are dying. He can't hear things because he doesn't have brain activity. He doesn't have a sense of
how the fuck do you know what he can hear and what he can't hear, stupid?
They have told her to let him go. That he would live in a state.
Is she playing music in the background, like dramatic music all of a sudden? Is she really fucking doing that?
That can take months, though. They have to have serious disagreements about the care. If he can breathe without any oxygen and any support, they would have to remove his feeding tube and nutrition, and that has to go through.
There's a method to my madness here, Kimmy71. Just bear with me.
She said that he has some oxygen, so I'm very confused about if he's on a ventilator or if he's off the vent and he's just getting oxygen through his trach. Because if he's getting
how much brain damage does it cause?
Oxygen through the trach, he's not breathing on his own.
How much brain damage does listening to you for 10 minutes or longer cause? I'm curious.
He's not on a ventilator, but I saw a comment that Letitia said that he has oxygen, so I don't know what that means.
Somebody in this chat's gonna fucking sue me just for making them listen to you.
If anyone was in the group and saw that. Yes. So then my other question to you guys is, if he did try to attempt suicide and you believe that she did it, why would she want him to stay alive? That's always been something I can't answer. The brain injury was so severe that he
because the argument, look,
no oxygen
and I'm playing devil's advocate here because I'm the one dude that's like, there's no crime here. Not that we know of. Now, according to Annie's video, law enforcement has opened a new investigation. So if something comes up, then, you know, okay. But until that happens, I'm going to say until a crime has been established, has been committed, none has.
Which controls your breathing.
But the argument,
it's just sad all the way around.
The argument from people is that she
breathe on their own, they're not actually considered on life support.
I mean, if he's dead,
so if they can lead him off
her content is limited. But as long as he's lying in a coma, Drea's content,
and he has a feeding tube.
using him for content is endless. It just goes on and on and on and on. That's the argument. Nobody with a brain is denying that Andrea fucking sucks. And she's using this guy and this tragedy for content.
In a complete vegetative state, and they ended up having to go to the courts to allow her husband to pull the feeding tube, and that's eventually, and then she died shortly thereafter. He's in a long-term care facility for people with brain injuries. So this is what I told my audience. If you want to take away something from the story and you see this fight that's happening in families, this fight happens in families every day across the country.
What?
To end the life support of a loved one.
This really? Yeah, somebody's in a coma every day all over the country and families are fighting about it. Jesus Christ, dude. I'm hiding.
With your spouse and making
the stupidity. I can't, man.
What you want known is so important. My husband and I have had this conversation multiple times. We know if we end up in a situation like Vaughn, we're not going to keep the other one on life support. Regardless of how hard that is on either one of us, we've both said we don't want to live there.
Oh my God, that's why there's a living will, asshole.
We don't want to be supported.
That's the family's decision.
So living wills, advanced care directives.
Yeah.
Having that legally drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Having a will is super important. Making sure that you have discussions about what you want. Without advanced care directives, the power of attorney then decides and makes the call for the family or their loved one. And in every state, I want to be clear, the spouse is the power of attorney.
Yeah, we all know that.
So they should do that for her mom. Raise their voices and,
Shut up.
I will say this. Dre has a very large following. And there's a lot of people that have followed her over the years that could tell me a story of her that was different than the Justice for Vaughn page, right? That doesn't mean that Letitia's story doesn't matter or that she doesn't have valid reasons or feelings. But friends of them who knew them had different stories about Vaughn's feelings, what they said, how they explained things. These are not people that support what Dre's doing today, by the way. A lot of her supporters do not support this. And I don't know many people that can see this and support that, right? But they still know all of the doxing and putting out the addresses and the go to her house and check on this and do that, knowing how unstable people can be online. If you really cared about that person, would you do that? I wouldn't do that personally.
No. No, you haven't been known to dox people? Really, KJ? You haven't been known to dox people? MGL hasn't been known to dox people too? Really? Okay.
But I try not to air out this family stuff online as much as I can. Every family has complicated dynamics, no matter what family that you're in.
Lady.
But when you take measures like this and you potentially put your loved ones' lives in a risky situation with threats, based on what you think is the truth or what you believe to be the truth, and you have very unstable people online that will take things to extreme levels. And these people laughing right now, it's disturbing. If you think that's funny,
we're laughing at you.
If you think it's funny to do vigilante justice, if you think it's funny to put Raza,
we think you're funny.
I don't know. Nobody would answer that question. Nobody would answer that question when I asked it. By watching, you realize other of her followers like me didn't fall for her or agree with everything she said. Not everyone did. I have a lot of her followers that don't. The laughters are disturbing. I know. Ross is like 6 or 7 years old. Like nobody, that little boy should, and the girls, Oasis and Bella, like none of those kids should be in a situation where internet strangers are trying to find out where they are and try to get them and get to them. Like, no. I mean, Dre called the police.
What's up, Queen OG? Long time.
You don't ever want to become part of the story when you're reporting on a situation. Dre reported Molly to the police.
You need to make videos on this shit.
That's why they showed up at her house.
I would love those.
To police about Molly. That doesn't help the situation, in my opinion. That's not how I would want to do things. I would never want to put a loved one in danger like that. Like, it makes no sense. Cassie, yeah, I explained to you that I've changed my opinion.
All right, hold on.
Call the cops on our dogs too. They jumped the fence, they were barking, and I was banning a lot of people.
There's
that kind of stuff will happen in those videos. Not one of those supporters did anything. No one called the cops. No one called CPS. No one talked to her.
Who's she talking about?
Anyways, long story short, I don't know.
You don't.
I just don't want to be wrong about the story. That's it.
Then why are you talking about it?
Like, I feel like if I emotionally respond to a situation, I'm not being the kids. They would, as parents, had to take a drug test. Everyone failed. Don't call the cops. No, like, and I'm not suggesting people online do that kind of stuff. I'm trying to, as I learn more about the story, and I'm trying to give you as much as possible. I just think that there was a lot of clues that things are happening that maybe people. As I've learned more in the situation, my opinion has changed. That doesn't mean I support not going to do anything. It's just nothing. Other stuff. I believe the girls should be living with their dad. I believe that their dad could handle their education. He has a nice home. He has a stable work environment.
Listen up, folks.
Stable environment. I can say that. That's my opinion. I believe.
Let's hold on. Here we go. This is interesting because things are going to get a little bit more interesting.
Yes, we know. No, I don't think that she didn't do anything. What I'm saying is I don't know what my opinion is. I'm not on her side. I'm not on their side. I feel like.
Then why are you talking about it? See, that's my thing. The reason why I haven't covered this is because I don't have enough information to form an opinion. And it doesn't mean forming an opinion does not mean taking a side. It means having enough information to form an opinion. That's why I don't feel like there's enough information for me to cover it. As far as my standards of covering something, I don't have enough information. So, like, if you don't have any information and you're admitting that you don't have enough information, then why are you covering it? Why? Because you see that there's money to be made from it.
Wrong to publicly accuse someone of doing something they haven't done. That's no.
Right.
I have feelings. I have thoughts. I believe the kids should be in a stable environment. I can say that. That's my opinion. I believe the daughters should be with their father. I believe the girls should be living with their dad.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that their dad could handle their education. He has a nice home. He has a stable work environment. Both he and his wife have jobs that make decent incomes.
Interesting.
Record. He is well respected in his employment. He's well respected in his community for what he does with the Department of Corrections.
You guys paying attention here? He's got a stable home. He's got a stable income. His wife has a stable income. They've got a nice home, right? Okay. Just pay attention. I'm going somewhere with this, folks.
There's not red flags for their father. Some of you have asked about why the father hasn't been involved. And what I can tell you is this. Dre's very controlling, according to the friend of the father. And they've said that she has made it very impossible at times to have any visitation with them. He has never not been a part of their lives. He has always been involved in their lives. The girls are on his insurance. He provides child support, and he regularly speaks to them. Text,
interesting.
Games on their phones together each day. They were playing like checkers a couple days ago. He has to be very careful about what he talks to them about because Dre is she's convinced them that because their dad is vaccinated, that he will give them COVID. And so she's convinced them wrongly that his vaccination will make them sick. And so now they're scared to go spend time with him because of that.
Okay.
I was told that she would call the cops on him when the kids were with him. And so.
Okay. So we just heard her go into this whole thing about how the dad has this stable environment, right? She has 2 kids. Drea has 2 kids with an ex, right? This is the person that she's referring to. She has 2 kids with this ex. They are not actually Marvan's kids. But he cares for them as though they were his own. But he provides a stable environment. He has a nice home. He has a nice income. His wife has a nice income. He pays child support. He's doing all these things without any hiccups at all whatsoever. He is fit to be a father because he can provide independently. He can provide for these children. Yes. Okay. Riddle me this, KJ. Why'd you start a Cash App for him in his name for those little girls, saying that he asked you to start this Cash App? Okay. Now, let me get into this. Kimmy71, I love you, man. But like, if you're so frustrated, log off. Go somewhere else. Stop spamming my chat with your complaints. Jesus, you're not getting anything done except getting me annoyed. Let me go ahead and share this. Okay. Very important. Because I like to call people out on some bullshit. Yeah. Okay. So on top of her harassing an elderly woman whose son is in a coma to the point to where she has to call MGL and send her a voice message crying, totally distraught and just overwhelmed, having no idea what she was getting into. On top of all that, and on top of dragging Annie's name into this and telling these ridiculous stories and bringing up the Sophie Long thing, and then then there's this. She apparently started a Cash App, right, in the two little girls' dad's name, right? And there's this. An affidavit has been filed on Katie Paulson for fraud on the Cash App for the girls that was not authorized. If anyone donated, please request a refund immediately. Also, a defamatory and slander lawsuit is also in the picture. She's no stranger to that. Immediately when I posted this in her group, she blocked me. Also, I am so upset that Without a Crystal Ball had Miss Letitia crying and upset this morning. We love you, Mama, and since she can't learn to stop harassing you and your family, let's let the courts do it. You and Vaughn's father have everything you need to file a couple of lawsuits on her. Okay. And there's this other post. It has been verified by family. The Cash App Without a Crystal Ball is posted for children was not set up by the father. Katie is collecting undervalue pretenses. Do not donate. The father of the children has not asked for any money on any platforms. Do not donate to the Cash App that Katie Joy has posted. If you donated to Cash App for the children's father, come to me for the evidence to get your money back. The father of the girls is a private person. He doesn't want anything on any platform regarding anything. Verified that Katie Joy Paulson is theft by deception, collecting under false pretenses, and we have no idea who has that Cash App. Probably Katie herself. So if this Cash App is not for the father and this money's not going to him, who set up the Cash App? Now, as far as I'm concerned, KJ is just as accountable if she's sharing it, because as a YouTuber, you should know better than to share GoFundMe's, Cash Apps, any of that nature, if they're for donations going towards some outside party without vetting them first. You are accountable. You know better. And since you know better, that's why we're all jumping to the conclusion that you're doing something extremely shady, KJ. That's why we're all jumping to that conclusion. Because on top of that, you're being sued all the time. I've never seen anybody on YouTube get sued as much as she does. I've never seen it. That speaks volumes to me. That speaks absolute volumes to me. Like, vet your sources. All that makes us all think and jump to the conclusion that you're the one collecting this money, that you're using this situation in order to collect money. All right, let me get into this real quick. Hold on, I have to find it, but now, how is this relevant? Okay. How is this relevant? Updates from the group admins. Groups are archived temporarily. No scamming, no hiding, and no one has been shut down. This is from Katie Joy's Facebook page. They need a break. Also, they introduced another YouTuber to the story. Nobody introduced, okay, Annie from 10 to Life, who has donated to Letitia. Yes, Annie has donated to Letitia. And Annie's probably going to get mad at me for this, but as I said, we've spoken privately regarding this case, and you know, she's not real thrilled when I do this, but I don't like people trashing my friends. You know, I don't like it, especially when it's unfounded. And my personal conversation with Annie regarding the donation, she just donated. Like, she was probably gathering information. I mean, I would assume at the time that it was happening, she was gathering information to cover the case and put together that hour-long, very informative, very thorough video that she put out. Probably the most, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, okay? Annie put together an hour-long video explaining everything and being more thorough in that 1 hour, right? In that 1 hour, than it took the hours and hours and hours of live streams between Katie Joy and between MGL, right? In 1 hour. She said, this is what I'm going to talk about today. I got a lot of requests for it. So here's all the information I gathered. Here you go. Right? And knowing Annie, she's probably already moved on to other cases. She's actually posted other videos since. Totally unrelated other videos regarding other crimes. That's all she did. Right? So you don't see her going live and having family members on her channel and saying, oh my gosh, you know, how dare this person this and blah, blah, blah. She's not doing none of that shit. You know, she has her opinions, which she's expressed to me personally, but that's just private conversation between two friends in text, you know, or voice memos. That's it. And yes, she mentioned to me that she donated. And I'm the guy that's just like, man, you have enough information, you know? But Annie doesn't give a shit. Her response to me in that sort of thing is, you know, well, I don't know if it's a scam and I don't care if it's a scam. I know that I'm doing something kind. And if it could go to a good place, then fine. But if somebody's using this as a scam, that's not my fucking problem. I just want to do something nice for this family if I can. And that's what was made available to her to do so, and that's what she did. So, and then there's this talk of which I'll get into here, pay to play type thing. Like somehow or another, KJ's accusing Marvon's mom of, if you're going to be a YouTuber and cover my case, you have to donate. No, no, that's not how that works. Everyone knows that you can actually donate just out of the kindness of your heart, and you don't need to donate to shit if you want to have something to talk about on your YouTube channel. That is completely up to you. Up to your discretion as a YouTube creator. That is up to you. You don't have to pay somebody to talk about that. What kind of crazy shit is that? But here's just this long bullshit. Also, they introduced another YouTube to the story, Annie from 10 to Life, who was donated to Letitia. Annie covered Sophie Long's case and falsely accused Kelly Long of sex trafficking, sexual abuse, and told her audience that Kelly should be waterboarded. Annie worked closely with Michael Long, who is in jail and faces charges for custodial interference. Michael kidnapped Sophie and fled to Mexico after a court terminated his rights. Annie helped Michael fundraise over $200K over the false allegations, and his ex-wife's fiance sexually abused their daughter. The money he raised aided him in the abduction. That's a fucking lie right there. She's saying that Annie helped fundraise over $200K over the false allegations, and his ex-wife's fiance sexually abused their daughter. And then she says the money he raised aided him in the abduction. That is absolutely 100% untrue. Now, did he flee the country with his daughter because he felt, according to him, that his daughter was in danger if she went back to the environment that her mother provided her with? Absolutely. But that money was long gone before that. Long gone before that. That money went to attorneys. I saw the receipts myself. As a matter of fact, the person who was feeding her information, Courtney, his wife after Kelly, the person feeding KJ information was the one who provided me with the receipts that showed that all of that money went to his attorneys. Every cent. That money was gone. And then it got to a point to where his attorney, for as long as she could, continued to help him pro bono. I mean, but it costs money. She can only do so much when there's no money. To defend somebody in court, things cost money. So all that money was gone already. And yes, Annie helped raise some of that money, but not $200K. Michael Long had a Facebook page. I helped with it. Like, he raised most of that money on his own. Annie only did like maybe 2 lives, right? I mean, so, and why this is relevant in any way, shape, or form is beyond me. Jesus Christ. And I'm not even going to read the rest of this shit because it's just fucking gross. Like, it's just gross. Now, this right here, as you can see, I just want to add before anybody goes after Annie Elise, she donated money and asked permission from Letitia before doing this video. That's untrue. Annie didn't need permission to do the video. I don't even think she ever spoke to Letitia. So what the fuck? Where is this information coming from? Yeah, it's that shit's been over for fucking ever, dude. And I even reached out to Michael's parents, and I set up a collect call type thing. The way it works in jail now, it's a lot like commissary, and you have to put money into an account with a PIN number, and you put in the PIN number and you can make phone calls. I set one up for Michael to call me, and he still has not, and that tells me that he has no interest in doing so, which is fine with me. But the offer was out there. But this is this is just all asinine, ridiculous bullshit. And all it is like bait to try to get Annie to engage. Why? Because KJ sees dollar signs and she knows that a drama between her and Annie is going to generate money, because the drama between her and MGL over this bullshit situation has generated money. So she knows that it's going to generate money if Annie engages and starts firing back and tries to defend herself against this bullshit. But Annie doesn't give a fuck. Like, I know Annie. Like, she does not give a fuck about this kind of bullshit. She's already making other videos and moving on. She made the video because she had requests, as she stated in her video, from her followers to make a video on it. She took the request and she did the best she could with it, and she put out the information that she had. Now, if there's a development, I'm sure she'll probably make another video. But it has nothing to do with KJ. It has nothing to do with MGL. She does not give a fuck about either one of them or what they are saying. I do, because I don't like people throwing lies around about my friends, but she doesn't. It doesn't bother her. Like, so stupid. This whole thing is so stupid. Like, look at like the shit that these people have done. Like, look at this, is all drama. Katie continues to attack Marvon's mother, Miss Letitia. Now she's attacking her for putting Vaughn up for adoption, saying that Letitia is nothing more than an egg donor. This is not okay. Just out of respect from Letitia bias. And that's coming from Molly Golightly's page. That's LB right there. She's covering the shit too. And she panels up with MGL. Like, these are all ridiculous, crazy. This is all crazy, ridiculous behavior. In recent posts, this is Katie Joy right here. In recent post, someone in comments mentioned pay to play in the story regarding Marvon McRae. Hold on. Others commented about having to have permission to share parts of the story. In my experience with the admins of the group, I was frequently told not to share anything without the permission or blessings of Letitia. When I obtained the police report, I gave a heads up to Eve Gunning, an admin that was a fake account and now has disabled their account. Eve told me that admins were refusing to approve posts by me without Letitia's approval. I showed them proof that I was given permission by Letitia to share the information. The admin still did not approve my posts. I mean, what do you give a shit about your posts in a Facebook group? Do you see me fucking typing shit into a Facebook group and trying to join Facebook groups over this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do I need a Facebook group to do that? I'll tell you what, though, being a presence in a Facebook group dedicated to this case, and I use that term loosely in regarding this, when I say case, being a presence in a Facebook group dedicated to this case would be helpful to my channel. But seeing as I'm not a grifting fucking asshole like KJ is, like MGL is, then I'm not interested, because it does no good. All it does is put me in a position to have a presence in a place to where I have more subs, where I can attract more subs. So she's pissed because she's not allowed in the group, or she's not allowed to post certain things in the group. This is all critical case shit. Total critical K bullshit. And how much do you want to bet, folks? Let's get into that real quick. Who wants to take bets on how long it takes K to jump all over this? Right? And I'll add a parlay to that bet. Who wants to take bets as to how long it takes Critical K to jump all over this bandwagon, right? A. And B, the parlay being how long is it? And the parlay being, how much do you want to bet that she sides with Drea and starts defending Andrea and her actions when she starts covering this? I guarantee you she's working on it right now. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Right. She'll say Vaughn is the abuser. Absolutely, perfectly imperfect. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. And I'm hoping me calling her out for it makes her go, fuck, you know, and then she just doesn't do it and add to the bullshit. I mean, it won't matter because, you know, nobody pays attention to her anymore anyway. Misty Go-Go, my advice to you is talk about the things that you're passionate about. You know, my whole thing is I joined YouTube. This all started for me. I'll be honest. I can go back to the roots, right? This all started for me with how people on social media were discussing the Chris Watts case, right? And everybody was acting like a total crazy asshole. Everyone was. And then it kind of, I ended up straying from that situation onto another situation that was taking place in YouTube. And then I just really focused mostly on this community as a whole. Because I know that there are some YouTubers that actually could very well give a good name to YouTubers, but there are so many that give a bad name to YouTubers when it comes to sharing information and spreading awareness, creating awareness and spreading awareness. And, you know, YouTubers can be a really big help if they do it responsibly. And I remember another situation that was taking place that was not, it was in the Krama community, and there was some dude named Oni who was swatting people and ended up swatting himself. And I ended up becoming very intrigued by this situation. And so I pretty much, for the most part, the last 4 years would take on cases and discuss cases. And then inevitably I would end up spilling over into how the community was handling that case. It's happened so many times with so many cases, and to the point to where now I just accept it. This is what I do. This is just what I do. And I'm perfectly fine with it. And this is one of those cases now, unfortunately. Now, it's not even a case that I'm covering. I don't see a crime yet. Do I see somebody who is abusive? Possibly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but again, I've made this point before. This person is now in a coma, right? Now, KJ's made this point. MGL's made this point. The common argument amongst all the YouTubers talking about this case, right? The common argument is that this woman, Drea, her actions have driven this man to a suicide attempt, right? Her actions have driven this man to a suicide attempt, and those actions being that she has made a circus out of his personal life. She's taken this guy's personal life and blasted it all over the place for content that she capitalizes off of. Correct? So the same argument, right? You have YouTubers who are doing exactly the same thing and covering it up and masking it, dressing it up as being in defense of him. But they're doing the exact same thing. They're taking this guy's personal life and now this tragedy that has taken place in his life, and they're capitalizing off of it. MGL's doing it. KJ's doing it. Everybody is doing it. Everyone talking about this case is doing it. This guy has no say in how much privacy he has anymore because he is lying in a hospital bed in a coma with no brain activity. He gets no say over this. To me, that is borderline, that is virtual rape. I mean, without the sexual aspect, take out the sexual aspect of what rape is. Taking advantage of somebody without their consent and twisting their personal life when they can't do anything about it. That is fucked up. That is so fucked up. And it just doesn't stop. And the thing is they see it as a gold mine as long as this guy's in a coma. And he's probably just going to stay in a coma. They're just going to keep doing it until people get sick of talking about it. Until the super chats start slowing down to nothing. But as long as the super chats are rolling in, they're just going to keep doing it. They're just going to keep exploiting his mom being, upset. As long as she doesn't catch on to what's actually going on here, they're just going to keep doing this and twisting it and making money off of it. As long as there's money to be made from it, they're going to keep doing it. And this poor man has no say over it. He can't defend himself. Luckily, they've put him in a private room where nobody has access to him, not even his wife. Nobody has access to this guy. But imagine if he wakes up tomorrow. Imagine if, KJ's shitty, pessimistic fucking attitude isn't correct and he actually wakes up and has some understanding of what his surroundings are, and then he sees everything that's going on. How do you think that's going to benefit him? Do you think that this guy's going to wake up and go, "Oh my God, everybody is so good. I can't believe all the support I'm getting"? No. That dude is not going to do that. He's going to wake up and be like, "Fuck. My nightmare has spilled over into a bigger nightmare. It's become a bigger nightmare. It has snowballed into the worst fucking nightmare that I could ever imagine. Not only is my wife exploiting me, but now shit tons of strangers all over the internet are exploiting me. Fuck. Somebody pull the plug on me now." And that sounds like I'm making a joke, but I'm not making a fucking joke, because he's in the hospital because he attempted suicide because of this shit in the first place. The only difference was that it was just his wife doing it. Now all the internet's doing it. Doing exactly what his wife was doing. That drove him to the place that he's sitting in right now. Like, all of you motherfuckers suck. Telling you right now, all of you motherfuckers suck. Every one of you that are fucking, oh my God, justice for Vaughn, justice for Vaughn. Vaughn doesn't want your fucking justice. He's incapable of wanting your justice. The only thing valuable that anybody can offer this guy at this point is peace. That is literally the only thing. You're not giving this guy shit. Money's going into your fucking pocket. And if you're donating money to Letitia, okay, that's a nice gesture. That is a really nice gesture. Cool, great. But what the fuck does she need the money for? Let's be honest here. What are you raising? Where's that money going to? For what? Better care for her son? Okay. But is it? Does the guy not have insurance? He's an ex-Marine. Actually, sorry, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. You're a Marine for life. But he's a Marine. Okay? Like, his medical bills aren't taken care of? What does Letitia need the money for? And I'm not saying, if you want to support her, do something nice, I understand that. But I'm saying, like, where's the money going? For what? To ease her mind? Okay, I can accept that. I can accept that. I'm just thinking out loud here, folks. But still, like, unless MGL is taking every single one of her super chats, and unless Justice for All is taking every one of his super chats, and unless L Bell or whatever the fuck her name is, never even heard of her before this, is taking every one of her super chats and donating every cent to Letitia, they are exploiting Letitia. Make no mistake about it. They are exploiting this poor woman. So, and KJ's going to, all of a sudden, she's going to donate money and then get a refund from GoFundMe for it. Like, dude, if that isn't the lowest fucking shit that I've ever heard somebody do on YouTube yet, like, I'm laughing at the absurdity of it. I don't think it's funny. I think the absurdity of it's funny, but I think it's a horrible thing. No, and I don't know enough about LB or whoever that is. I don't know. Misty Go-Go. I don't know. But if she's linked up with MGL and Justice for All, that's not real credible to me. just being honest. It's not real credible. But I include her in that. If she's making a bunch of super chats off of this shit, and PayPal donations and Cash App donations, and every cent of this isn't going to Letitia, then they're not in this for Letitia. They're in this for themselves. Exactly, Cherry. Exactly. Sammy Sunshine, we're talking about how Katie Joy is a jackass and an asshole. That's what we're doing. I mean, you watch her Duggar coverage, so what? I mean, we all know Josh Duggar's a piece of shit. I don't need KJ to tell me that. Okay, so Heels in the Air is saying, nothing against you, Sammy Sunshine. I'm just saying. Heels in the Air saying that Letitia could always see him. She just wanted information. I mean, yeah. But I mean, is it wrong for a mother to want information about her son's medical condition? I mean, obviously her son's an adult and he's married. So the doctors can only share that information with his wife. She's the next of kin. So, she has power of attorney. She's, obviously it makes the wife an asshole if she's not sharing the information with his own mother. That's terrible. I get that. But why the money raising? For what? Where's that going? Like, I could see if it's raising money, even still, that would be totally absurd. But that would be the only thing that actually makes sense. If she was raising money to bribe Andrea for the information. If Andrea was like, listen, I'll tell you what's up, but you got to give me a shit ton of money. I mean, could she legally do that? Probably not. But I'm saying that would That would make the most sense. But like, what else is the money for? I mean, other than, you know, the obvious, which is okay, making things a little bit easier on her. You know, she's stressed out. She's an old lady. You know, she's upset. Her son's in this horrible situation. No parent, no matter how old their kid is, ever wants to see their child in that position. I get it. And so if you're donating money to just ease her emotions a little bit and make life a little easier on her, you know, yeah, I get that. You know, I do get that. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, what's with the fundraising? You know, for what? What's the fundraiser for? Where's it going? But if it's just that, okay, you know. But nobody's saying anything. Everybody's just like, donate money to this lady. Okay, with no like explanation as to where it's going. It's just okay. Now, but she was going to hire. Okay, let me address this. Okay, again, I'm not an attorney, so I couldn't tell you for sure. I don't know. But hotels, meals, okay. She wants to be there and spend, you know, be next to her son's side, and she can't really afford it, and she needs hotels. That makes sense. I stand corrected. Not too proud to admit that. I stand corrected. That is actually a really good thing for that money to go to, just so she could be next to her son and be a presence, a positive presence for him. But now she can't. Now nobody's allowed to see because everybody acted so fucking crazy and this turned into a goddamn circus. His doctors are like, none of you people are allowed around him. I'm making a medical decision right now. None of you people are allowed around him because you're not doing him any good. But the hotels and the meals, yeah, I get that. But I mean, if it's to stick around so that she can build a case, hire an attorney, she doesn't have a case. Again, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know for sure. But in theory, I don't see how she has a case. She's not the next of kin. She doesn't have rights over her son anymore. He's an adult. He's a Marine. He's married. The wife has all the rights over him. I don't see how she could actually win that in a court of law. That's just what I've heard. Kirk's 71. I don't know all the facts. All I can say is what people have been saying. And I don't really know. I haven't really been following this case. So no one is banned from seeing him. But the mom's visits are supervised. But she's allowed to see him. And the mom's visits are supervised. But Andrea can still see him, you're saying. Well, I know that. Kirk 71, I know that. You don't have to put it in all caps. Like I can read your comment. It's okay. No need to yell at me. There's no case against anyone. There's no lawyer involved either. I know that there's no case against anyone. What I'm saying is if you're trying to raise money for Letitia and the money is going towards her hiring a lawyer to end up having rights over her son and being able to see him or have any say over his medical condition and any decisions over what to do with him medically, well, I don't think that she has a case. I don't see a lawyer actually taking that case because I don't see her winning in court over the wife. That's all I'm saying. But there is no case. You're right. That's why I haven't been covering it, because I talk about crime cases. You know, I haven't seen a crime take place here. I haven't even seen so much of a suspicion of a crime necessarily. Like I'm not suspicious of a crime. Maybe there is one, but if If law enforcement has opened an investigation into it, okay, maybe there is a crime. But just because an investigation's been open, that's just simply to establish whether or not a crime has been committed. They don't know if a crime's been committed. Just launching an investigation does not establish that a crime has been committed. It is to investigate whether or not a crime has been committed. Right, exactly. And you won't see mainstream cover it. You'll see at best a tabloid magazine cover it. At best. Yeah. No, I saw all that. No, I that's the thing is, what I'm talking about is a crime. I haven't seen evidence of a crime that's been committed, but I have seen things that seem concerning for sure. No doubt in my mind. I have absolutely seen things that seem concerning. Do I think that Andrea sucks? Yeah. I think she's a horrible person. Based on everything that I've seen. I mean, what is with I covered him in my saliva? The fuck was that? That's the craziest shit I've ever seen anybody say regarding a loved one in a coma. I've never heard of such madness ever in my life. What the fuck is that? Dude, I'm not vaping, WJW Willow. I'm not going to vape. Vaping hasn't been around long enough to know what the long-term effects are. So, yeah, I'm not switching to vaping. Eventually I'll quit smoking, but nope. To me, that's just crazy. Sorry. Let's see. All I'm saying is that fundraising for the lawyer is a scam. They won't give a name, and because people are concerned about where the money is going, they are now saying that Letitia hasn't lodged. I mean, I don't know if it's a scam or not. You know, I mean, and you're entitled to your opinion whether or not it's a scam. You know what I mean? Anybody's entitled to their opinion of whether or not it's a scam. Let's see. Queen OG, just say no to butthurt, says, what are the animals that play dead that cover themselves with their saliva? They're called shitty wives. Shitty, insane, crazy wives whose husbands are in a coma. That's what they're called. Yeah, Mystic Go-Go. That's the one conclusion that I can come to regarding this entire situation. It's just tragic. It's just sad and it's tragic that this is happening. This poor guy, man, like this guy he has no say over any of this stuff that's happening. And he's the subject of just pure exploitation. Right. The only actual factual info out there is the police report. Everything else is speculation and hearsay. And even the police report contains hearsay because it's nothing but the wife's account. Right? She's the wife. If you read the police report is him is the cop saying the wife told me this, and this. I showed up, I saw this, the wife told me this, and this. And then everybody's like, well, that's a lazy police report. How do you know that's a lazy police report? The only way that you could know that a police report lacked information is if you were there to witness the situation and know that information was left out. Otherwise, you can't say that it was a lazy police report. That's impossible. That's impossible. Yeah, because the clip channels are awesome. Safari. That's why the clip channels are awesome. To be honest, I'm glad to see you speaking about it. Marvana is what matters. Somehow, every family member connected to him has also been exploited. I think it's unfair. I mean, they kind of did that to themselves, but I don't think that they knew what they were getting into. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, I see Letitia as just a babe in the woods, who's never been out in the woods and never heard of a bear, and then just like walked into a bear's den, like, hey, can you help? That's exactly what happened. Like, Letitia is nothing but a source to MGL. Sure, email that to me, Heels. You got nothing better to do. We can go over that. That'd be great. I'd appreciate it. Yeah, I just find it hard to believe that an elderly woman spends a whole lot of time on YouTube, and then was like, let me get a drama channel in on this. You know what I mean? Let me get somebody who yells and screams, I just don't see that realistically happening. Right. I don't think so either. Desiree. I don't see that either. I don't see how she could have possibly, possibly, sure, but I don't find it to be a likelihood in the slightest bit that Letitia was. I think somebody reached out to her and she was like, fuck, so desperate. At least somebody's trying to help. And yeah, make sure to sub to Heels in the Air. Her videos are hilarious. They're great. Damn, Panda's passed out. She's over here snoring. I don't know if y'all can hear it. Panda's over here snoring, man. The Panda girl. Oh, sure. a lot of us have lost people to suicide. And I've lost people to suicide. I've lost uh like I said, there was this one friend that ended up, and it was crazy. He wasn't even trying to hurt himself. He got that gastral bypass surgery, but got so, and he lost a lot of weight from it. Like, it helped him out, but he wasn't going to the gym to work out, you know, uh, and he wasn't, eating poorly. The problem was he wasn't eating at all, and it caught up to him. And one day, uh, I guess he was, walking, and getting a little bit more exercise than he should have for somebody who uh who wasn't eating at all. And if you don't eat, you could pass out. And when you pass out, what causes you to pass out is a lack of oxygen to your brain. And he lost oxygen to his brain for too long, and he ended up with brain damage. And there was nothing that could be done about it. And it was really crazy because I like I said, I talked about this before, and I remember hearing about it, and we weren't close friends. We were basically just acquainted. He used to come by my job at the tattoo shop a lot, just to kind of hang out. And honestly, he was one of those guys that was just like, when he showed up, it was just like, fuck, you know. Like he got like 2 tattoos at the shop, and then he just decided to hang around the shop all the time, and it was one of those situations where you felt like you're being rude by not, indulging him in conversation, where I just wanted to, like, when I didn't have my piercing customers, I just wanted to sit around and watch DVDs or listen to music or nap. So it was like, people would show up to the shop and you just kind of have to indulge them. It's not like having somebody at your house, you know what I mean? Where people, they call you and you could be like, hey, no, I don't really feel like hanging out today. They show up to the tattoo shop and they're just going to show up and hang around as long as they want. You can't really kick them out. You can, but you'd be a dick if you were, because he's a nice guy. I had no reason to kick him out, so it was just kind of like, Angelo's here. Fuck. And then, this happened to him. And I never went to go see him at the hospital. I feel really bad. And I meant to. And then I ran into him at Walmart, and I broke down into tears just out of sheer guilt and feeling like a snobby prick, because I saw him at Walmart, and I didn't think he was ever going to be up and around. And he was with his mom. He obviously couldn't drive himself there. He couldn't express himself verbally. And I his mom, like, waved at me, and I was like, wow, Angelo, that's crazy. And Angelo just had this just kind of like a little smirk, like, like he was happy to see me. And I just felt so guilty, I felt really, really guilty. And his mom was just so nice, not like, oh, how, why didn't you come see him and blah, blah, blah. She wasn't like that at all. She was just like, man, I can tell he's very happy to see you, and I was just like, I didn't let him see me cry, but as I was walking away, I just, I was just like, oh my God, but it was really, and it was like a mixture of like guilt and joy, because he was up and around that I never thought he would again. He would be again. Yeah, it's just bad, man. Like, well, Cherry, I think, is working. So Cherry's in and out when she can be. Cherry's in the chat when she can be. But if I'm correct, she's, she works Friday nights. So when she can sneak away, then she'll be in chat, Oh, there it goes. All right. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Ah, okay, great. Great, great, great. Thank you, Heels in the Air. Appreciate it. All right, so this is the long version of the police report. Synopsis is at 5:23:22 at approximately 8:28 hours, Marvin McRae attempted suicide by hanging himself in his side yard shed located. His wife Andrea stated, and they had disagreed that day prior. And McRae also suffers from blank, 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 blank. Was transported to Yuma Regional Medical Center for further evaluation. This report is for information only. And there is body cam footage. I don't have it, but there is body cam footage. Body worn camera footage has been captured. Oh man. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Digital evidence, human memory and perception have limitations, and the video evidence may depict events differently than. Okay, yeah, that's all just kind of disclaimers. This is all for court. Like if this ever goes to court, this stuff is necessary because it gives disclaimers and whatnot. This way, if there's an arrest, the defense can't object to it, and it is admissible. So at approximately 8:28 hours, Officer Reed and I were dispatched to this address in reference to an attempted suicide. Per the call notes, Andrea McRae found her husband Marvin McRae hanging in their shed. Andrea McRae cut her husband down and began CPR. Upon arrival, I noticed the residence was on the south side. Yuma Fire Department was already there and going towards the east side of the property where the gate was to enter the backyard. There was a shed immediately to the east. After entering the east gate, inside the shed, I noticed a black male in the center of the shed. The male was wearing blue pajamas and lying on his back. His head was toward the east and feet towards the west shed opening. His arms were away from him. YFD was assessing him while A. McRae watched. I asked A. McRae to walk with me to the front of the residence while YFD personnel worked on her husband. I noticed A. McRae was agitated. She would shake, unable to keep her hand steady, and her voice broke every now and then. I asked A. McRae to tell me what happened. Due to A. McRae going back and forth, the following is a summary of my conversation with A. McRae. For complete details, please refer to my body-worn camera surveillance video uploaded to Axon Evidence. A. McRae stated that she and her husband have been married for approximately 8 years. They have one child in common, but he raised her two other children. M. McRae suffered from blank, 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 blank. In 2019, he went to a physical therapist. When he went to the therapist, her husband's demeanor changed and he became someone she did not know. She said they always got along until after his therapy. Then he would change and become verbally abusive to her. At times, she would leave the residence because of the change. M. McCrae finally stopped using the therapist. He had stopped using the therapist. He has had blank becoming verbally abusive. She denied they had arguments, only disagreements, but when the disagreements were severe, she would leave until his mood changed back to his normal loving self. When he had blank, okay, I'm guessing that the blank means seizures. So when he had a seizure, she would expect his attitude to change. She asked him to see a doctor. She did not know if he ever made an appointment. The day prior, they had a disagreement. Andrea McCrae said the disagreement was during the afternoon. Marvon slept in the bedroom while she slept on the couch. He woke up at approximately 7:15 a.m. He went into the children's bathroom to clean up as he usually does. She offered him tea and began to have a disagreement with her. She noticed he was more lethargic than normal. She said they tried to use organic products for well-being. They use kratom, which is an organic herbal medicine in the coffee family and has opioid properties. She believed he may have used more than normal, and there was a buildup of kratom in his system, making him act that way. They disagreed with her, trying to calm him down. After disagreeing for a while, Marvon went outside. Andrea went outside to check on him and saw him hanging in the shed. She screamed, and her oldest daughter came out to check on her. She told her daughter to go back inside the residence. She attempted to get him down using a wobbly chair within the shed, but was unable to. She obtained his knife and then cut him down. She called the police and began CPR as instructed. I asked Andrea if we could call anyone for her husband, but she refused. She was told about Amberly's place. And asked if she wanted a representative to come out, but she refused. She said she just wanted to get her children situated and then go to the hospital. I told her I would write an informational report to document the incident. I told her I would go back to the shed and document the area. I went into the shed and noticed a rope on the floor where M. McCrae was. I collected the rope and later placed into evidence. I noticed the chair she mentioned earlier. The main beam went across the center of the shed, and from the opening to the back of the shed, I videoed the shed from within using my body cam worn camera. I drove to the Yuma Regional Medical Center to check on Marvon. I was told he was on a ventilator and getting scans on his head. I was later informed M. McCrae had been flown out to Phoenix Hospital. I learned he was flown to the Veterans Hospital in Tucson. I called and learned M. McCrae was still on a ventilator and medication, but still showed no sign of brain activity. They were going to take him to the ventilator on Friday to see if he would breathe on his own. Give me 1 second here. Okay. And then there's another narrative here. Andrea McCrae. Hold on, Andrea McCrae stated that she was outside and found her husband, Marvin McCrae, hanging in the shed. She did not describe exactly how he was positioned. Sorry, I read that as poison. How he was positioned when she found him. The shed was a basic 2-door shed made of a metal material approximately 10 by 14 and approximately 7 inches or 7 feet tall at the center, or 7 inches tall at the center. There was, okay. 2-door shed. Yeah, 7 feet tall at the center. There were 3 metal beams across the top inside the shed. Although it had rust within its walls, it appeared to be sturdy. The beam appeared to be sturdy enough to hold Marvan's body weight. A rope could fit into any of the ridge beams due to the ridges on the shed roof, allowing a rope to pass through. There was an old stool within the shed, which I believed was the one Andrea said she stood on to cut Marvan down. I do not know if Andrea took the rope off Marvan. When I looked over the shoulder of the firefighter, I did not see any rope. Due to Marvan McRae's position in the shed and the firefighter blocking the entryway, I was unable to see any rope around Marvan McRae's body. I did not notice any marks on Marvan McRae's neck due to him being too far away when I first saw him. That is interesting. I located the rope on the center floor of the shed after Marvan was taken away to the Yuma Regional Medical Center. The rope appeared to be a natural fiber manila. Oh, okay. Okay. I located the rope in the center floor of the shed after Marvan was okay. So I guess he was laying on top of it. The rope appeared to be a natural fiber manila rope from the loose end to the noose. It was approximately 4 feet high in length, or 4 feet in length. Sorry. The diameter of the rope was approximately 1/2 to 1 inch. I was unable to tell if it was new or old, but it did not appear to be frayed. I did not speak to M. McRae, and they left afterwards. If a person is requiring their services, we typically let them do their job without obstructing them. I do not know what M. McRae's body position was when Yuma Fire Department arrived at the shed. I arrived a few moments after the firefighter I saw entered the side yard. A period of Marvan McRae provided starts at approximately 7:15 hours, and when she saw him going to the bathroom. The call came from Yuma PD at approximately 8:28 hours. She stated that she spoke with one another, but did not provide an exact time of how long. She described Marvan hanging from the rope with something coming out from his mouth. She tried to lift him using a stool, which I did see within the shed. Andrea McRae told me that Marvan was about 2 steps inside, facing the front of the shed and slightly right, which would be facing northwest. She said she cut Marvan down. She did not see any injuries, but saw red, which she believed to be blood on the left clavicle. Her eldest daughter heard her scream and came outside, but according to Andrea, her daughter did not see Marvan McRae, so she would not be able to corroborate Andrea McRae on Marvan's positioning. Andrea McRae's children were inside the residence during the interview. None of them came outside. Although not seen, I could hear children inside the residence, but their voices did not sound agitated or distressed. Andrea stated that the arguments were more of a disagreement due to her trying to answer his questions calmly. I did not believe there was anything very disruptive when they had their disagreement, because I believe it would have upset the children, and I would have at least heard them crying or yelling, which I did not. While speaking with Andrea, I asked her if Marvan had tried this before, meaning suicide. She stated a couple of months ago prior, he tried hanging himself in the closet with a belt, and the closet broke. It is unknown if this incident was reported to law enforcement. I did not ask any further questions of Andrea regarding this previous suicide attempt. See, that bugs me, because if she says that, then she should have reported it. She should have gotten him help. Andrea stated that she cut Marvan down with one of her husband's knives. Looking for the rope, the ends did look like a knife was used to cut it, I did not collect the knife because the way the cut on the rope because the way the cut on the rope corroborated what Andrea McRae said. But hold on. My investigative focus was on the attempted suicide. At the time, therefore, I did not ask Andrea where she obtained the knife. I did not ask her to show me the knife. I never saw the knife. It was my belief the knife was used solely to free Marvon from hanging in the shed. I did not take photographs with my Yuma Police Department issued camera because I used my body worn camera to capture the scene. By using my body worn camera, I believed I would capture the entire scene better and clearer than using my issued camera. I did not go inside the residence due to what I believed was an attempted suicide. Marvon is substantially larger than Andrea McRae is. If Andrea McRae or Marvon McRae were in a physical altercation, I believe I would have seen some type of injury on Andrea McRae. If a physical altercation would have happened within the residence, I believe the children would have been upset, yelling and crying, which I did not hear. There were multiple items on the pathway to the shed, which did not appear to be disturbed. The shed looked like a typical shed with items everywhere, but there was dust over everything, indicating no disturbance. The stool was in the shed as stated by Andrea McRae. I do not believe Andrea McRae had the upper body strength to lift Marvon. All these indications led me to believe the incident was an attempted suicide. I later went to YRMC to check on him, but he was at X-ray when I arrived, then flown to the Veterans Hospital in Tucson afterwards. I did not see Marvon McRae while at YRMC, but Officer Reed later mentioned that she saw an abrasion on his arm. All right. So, I mean, all this other stuff is pretty, give me 1 second. I'm still looking through this. Yeah, this is just another officer's. So these are different officers' points of view on this whole thing. There was stuff that sounded suspicious at first, but as I kept reading, like not seeing a rope and not seeing any marks on his neck were something that I was like, well, wait a minute. But, at the same time, later on, he said that he found the rope. He didn't see the knife, but he saw that the rope was consistent with her story that it was cut. But isn't every rope cut for the most part? Like, really? You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to make something out of nothing. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying. Okay, hold on. Okay. Hold on, I got to look into something real quick. Sorry, guys. Okay. Let me see. All right. Give me 1 second here, folks. I might have to fix a little something here. Again, give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Kind of important. Give me 1 second, guys. This is important. Appreciate your patience. All right, let me look over comments real quick. I'm waiting on a response from somebody here over something. Sorry, guys. It's just certain things happen as you're live from time to time, and you just kind of go with it and address these things. Sometimes they can't wait. They're pretty important. So let's see. In the meantime, I'm just going to go over a couple of comments here. Yeah, that's a good point. Feeling kind of breezy. I mean, most cops in that situation would be like, okay, so where's this knife? You know what I mean? Like if I, in theory, I would think that a police officer, responding police officer would want to collect every bit of information that they can possibly collect. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for indulging me. I had a great time with you guys as always. I love you very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.